All right, everybody. This is a game called Where the Water Tastes Like Wine. And as much as I would love to talk about the title screen, we actually don't get that much of a chance. As you can see, the title screen just fades right into the game. And I would love to have given you an analysis, but this game just doesn't care. It's just going to throw us right in. So
Night has fallen and you're weary from travel.
let's do it.
Stars fill the sky above, and in front of you is a brightly lit wooden house, the only building you've seen for days.
So that's a choice, right? That's a real interesting tactic to just say like, bam, title screen, let's go. We're going right into the game. I think rather than having even to like take a minute to talk about it, the game doesn't wait. We don't get a chance to analyze. And that's a choice in and of itself. The fact that it gave us this title screen that really the only thing I got a chance to get at it is it looked like a label on the side of like an apple crate or something, you know? Like it looked like it was just attached to another product. It said like product of USA, which fits in, right? The game is being shipped to us in a rustic container, and we're given no chance but to see what's inside. So the game immediately jumps in with telling the story, and here we are. It's like page 1 is printed right on the cover of the book. So because we may have not had a chance, I'm going to leave it here for a second. We're going to talk about this screen. Night has fallen. You're weary from travel. Stars fill the sky above, and in front of you is a brightly lit wooden house, the only building you've seen for days. Now, what I think is interesting here, just to kind of get us going, is this is a story about us. This isn't the narrator telling a story about someone else. This isn't the man was weary from travel. This isn't the lady is weary from travel. This is like classic adventure game stuff. You are here, exits are out, right? Americana Zork. And that's to be expected. This is a modern it's a modern adventure game. So we get what we get. And we can see here that we have no option. We have only to go to the house. So this story so far just goes in one direction. Now we can guess at kind of what we're looking at, right? Like it's a table piled with coins, and I would normally say that doesn't really indicate too much, but take a look at the coins in the background. To me, this says card game. This says poker, right? America, the Wild West, the frontier, poker, all of that stuff is very closely integrated in our narrative understanding of these things. When we think of those things, we can connect them really easily. And then what creates a sense of incongruity or like magic is someone just anteed up a feather, right? Which again, in the language of kind of magical realism, we're seeing there's something mysterious going on here. What value has a feather against a pile of coins? Let's take a look where this narrator's story wants us to go.
You walk toward the house, hearing the sounds of laughter and talk as you reach the door and push it open.
All right, somebody's in the house. Let's see what's up. Ooh, got that hobo bindle. Ah, there it is. There's the card game.
You sit down and join the game. It's a cheap buy-in, and not many of the other players are very good.
Our
The lady
illustrious
fiddling
champion
with dice gets
returns.
good cards,
Welcome
but has no
home.
real strategy.
Welcome back, Venterio.
The man to your right seems to just hold on to the highest cards he has, regardless of suit or any consideration of matches. The man in gray across from you, though, he's good. He already had the largest pile of coins when you bought in, and while your winnings grow quickly, you can't quite catch him.
Yeah, I wish that we'd had a chance to pause and take a look at the characters. We're really focused on this man in gray. That too, the idea of describing someone as the man in whatever, that creates a sense of mystery. It ties us into to an understanding of the character, right? It's not the man across from you. There's something about the way that you describe someone, like the man in black, the man in gray, the man in white. The only characterization is the color that he wears, and that tells us everything about him. Also, look at his eyes. Those are not the eyes of a human. There is something else going on here.
One by one, the other players leave the table, sometimes with pique or with wry humor, leaving their winnings with you or the man in gray.
Yeah, and the archetype is more important. It doesn't matter who the man in gray is necessarily. He's an archetype. These stories, and this is why the tarot I find so interesting, and why I think it's going to find its place in this game, is the archetype, right? You could describe, like, you sit down at a poker table. Across you sits the magician. To his right, the empress. To his left, the chariot. Right? Like, you can pull yourself into the archetype and understand them. This is the whole, like, Jungian thing, the Joseph Campbell thing, the idea that in a story, we don't need names or specification of details to still tell the story. We can have archetypes. We can have people who are stand-ins. So the man in gray, the illustration here, like, he's not good, he's not bad. That's what gray means in this context, right? It kind of looks like he's wearing mustard. A harmonica, pocket watch, a couple of acorns, a key. Seems like a good hand.
Finally, it's just you and the man in gray. He looks at you, full of humor, and winks. Last hand?
I don't have a choice but to be in.
Welcome.
He deals, you draw,
Hey,
and look at your hand. It's good. It's great. The best hand, in fact. A royal straight flush. Spades. Aces high.
So I love the, again, speaking of archetypes, the language of poker, right? We may not understand the game, and by that I mean I don't know anything about poker, but there is a poetry in the phrase, a royal straight flush, spades, aces high. Like, it just feels like there's a narrative poetry built into the language of games, of poker particularly, that settles us into a milieu, into a narrative. So I love that. I love that you can understand a thing without knowing the details of it. You can feel the slickness of, like, poker language in this context. So we're coming at this. Now, obviously, this is setting us up. This is setting us up for failure, right? This man in gray is going to cheat us or beat us. That's how these stories go. It's not just going to be like, you win, it's great.
But the man in gray pushes forward his whole pile. You're not sure exactly how much it is, but it's more than you've got. You can't match that.
So we got the luck, but we don't have the money, so we got to fold.
The man in gray stops you. Now, if you like, I'll let you wager your word. I know you'll be good for it. Just promise you'll pay the debt, however I ask.
Right. So we're put in this position of infinite certainty, right? We can't possibly lose. This man in gray, certainly not a deal with the devil here. Nothing could possibly go wrong. So we check our cards one more time.
Yep. 10, jack, queen, king, ace. All spades. The man in gray smiles. All right, then. I'll call.
We can't possibly lose, right? Uh-oh. And that's when things go weird. Dire Wolf, Chapter 1, where the water tastes like
Well,
wine.
your luck wasn't so good, was it? That's quite the hand, but not for the game we're playing. I'm afraid you owe me. Your life, sure, but more than that, your labor. You see, this land is built on stories. It's one big story, this country, woven of many small ones. Few of the small ones are strictly true, and the big story is mostly a lie. All the stories and songs and myths and legends start somewhere, with a seed. As they're told and retold and passed around, they grow and change to become the stories we know. To pay your debt to me, you'll be carrying stories, finding the seeds first and then spreading them, telling them onwards so they can begin gaining strength. This is no light task. Stories are heavy. Most of the stories you'll find will be small seeds. They might be true, but they'll grow wild and unbelievable with the telling. The more important stories are the true ones, the ones people will tell you about their own lives. Those often get lost in the weaves of the big story. The more true stories you can find and tell, the more you can weave that truth into the big story. Tarnish it a bit perhaps, but isn't a dingy and battered truth better than a shining lie? Now, go ahead. You tell me a story. I'll trade you some information about your task.
All right, so we get hooked by the devil. I mean, not literally devil, but by this devilish wolf. Get hooked by a wolf, and now we gotta tell a story, and that's our task. So I guess we tell him our story, and then we go out collecting other stories. And the cards we had in our hand, I guess, are the Tower, which y'all are familiar with. Death, change, endings, moving on. We got the Wheel of Fortune, fate, luck. We got the World, heaven, desires fulfilled, wishes come true. We got justice, choice, morality. And we got the Three of Staves, which is travel. That's a great Three of Staves. I like that one. Let's start our story. Let's start our story with a choice. Tell the story of the endless series of doors of different kinds, each leading only to more doors. Ah, I see. So we get to tell a story depending on each card. Well, in that case, if we're only getting one, let's tell the story of a black and gray city where every building's filled with desiccated corpses.
I'll strip away your flesh to make the journey easier, but still you'll feel pain. Hunger, weariness, thirst, and despair. They're all part of stories, the part not often told. And death, yes, but don't worry. As long as your task remains, you come back.
Oh, okay, cool. So we've got a bunch of stories, and he wants to know more of them. All right. So the city. Let's tell the story of the northbound train blinking its giant eye as it crawls through the night.
Travel? That's your job. Wander from place to place, gather those stories and spread them. People get bored hearing the same stories over and over. But an old cliche in one state might be a rip-roaring new yarn in another.
Yeah, now I have to hope, for the sake of, like, cohesive design, that the order in which we tell these, like, actually matters. Tell a story of tossing a pair of bone dice on a blood-red velvet table that come up snake eyes and wink at you. So the game's also preparing us for the rest of the game, right? Choosing what stories to tell.
Seems to follow the folks who already have problems aplenty. Well, Try your luck out there in this country. See how the dice treat you. It's not all bad. You'll have to work hard, but I'll give you the gift for seeing the true shapes of people.
So Wolf is clearly like making a servant of us, right? He's got this kind of like
Not many who can do that.
this kind of godlike vibe where we're becoming his chosen to wander America and gather stories for him because we lost this card game. It's a real good backstory for a character. I'm pretty into it. Next time you want to play a cleric or something in D&D. Yeah, or a warlock, exactly. Well, we're gonna save the world for the last, because that's where it is. So we're gonna go ahead and tell him a story about choice, about justice. This is the story of Mordor's.
You sometimes have to make choices about what kind of story you're finding. Is it a love story or a tragedy? Don't gather too many of one kind, though. This grand story needs variety.
Yeah, and that's right. The timer is ticking forward from night to day. So we're staying up all night telling stories. And then I guess when the sun comes up, we're going to head out. So we'll finish with this the story of the world. It's neat. The tarot art has a kind of Mike Mignola vibe to it, which I quite like in the face especially. But the black line, sort of limited number of colors, that sort of thing. I think it's quite cool. All right, here we go. The story of the parting of a cloud of fog to reveal a brief glimpse of a land of promise and plenty.
Your deepest desires, your greatest wish, heaven, Big Rock Candy Mountain, El Dorado, the promised land, that place just over the ridge where they all say that the water tastes just like the sweetest wine. Well, I don't know where that is. It's supposed to be somewhere in this country. Ask the people you meet. They're all searching for the same thing. Go on your way, seeker. Maybe we'll meet again, or maybe not. Either way, it'll be an experience for you. I'm jealous in some ways. I hope you find what you're looking for.
But I'm only looking for it because of you. Go about my way. I guess now I gotta be a protagonist in the story. God damn it. Okay. All right. So this is the gameplay portion of the game. Okay. So we can walk around. Oh, there's Canada. Canada, I'm coming. For some reason, we're a skeleton. Because Sting Wolf said he was gonna strip our flesh, right?
Well, I'm gonna heft my spade up upon my weary back. I'm gonna keep that stride stuck in my soul. 'Cause when my toes burn low and
This bungalow is being ransacked. There's furniture piled in the front yard, ammunition heaped under the mailbox, and a crowd of clean-cut men ripping apart a car in the driveway.
Strange.
The two heavily armed, mud-caked women leaning over the porch railing share the same bored grin. One shouts at you. Lend a couple innocent gals a cigarette?
Yes. Yes, ladies. Yes.
You're about to hand her a smoke when those men draw pistols and shove you hard into the dirt. You know these girls? They demand.
No, I do not.
Once they've dumped your bag out into the road, they decide you're harmless. If you were selling booze too, you'd have a lot more cash, sneers one.
Feds.
On the porch behind him, The two bootleggers are fingering their empty rifles, grinning in disappointment.
All right, women arrested for bootlegging. All right, I want to adjust the sound slightly because the music's great, but I can't have it balanced the same as the music as the other volumes. Okay, we're good. Look at that. So yeah, this is the same like produce, the same sort of produce country like thing that we saw before. Hello, I fly dragons. It's like a label, right? These are some weird pears. San Francisco, California. I really like the like labeling thing. I wish we had gotten more of an opportunity to look at this on the title screen, but yeah, it's cute that they've made this kind of the aesthetic. I like it. Hello. Okay, so I'm just totally not like I can whistle while I walk, but I'm not sure what that means or how to control that. Okay. Hey, there's Portland over there. Let's search this.
Off the road and into the woods, you can't help but come across this package by the old tree tied to a sturdy stick. The cloth wrapping conceals, though not particularly well, something large and softly unsettled. Little eyes blink back at you from inside the bundle.
Hello.
The shape gives a start.
Please don't tell my pa that I'm in here.
It says in a small voice.
Why not?
Pa doesn't want to live with us anymore. But I want to go with him. Don't tell him, please. I'm hiding.
I won't tell.
You tell the boy you'll keep his secret. You don't see his father anywhere. You don't see another soul for miles.
Alright, the boy who ran away with his father. Well, let's go see what Portland's got to offer.
They don't come every year, you know. The old man is sitting at the edge of a rotting old pier, crooked legs dangling over the water. He watches a pair of seagulls preen and groom each other on a rock just off the shore. They seem to wait for something together, fidgeting and rubbing against one another. And when they fly off, they fly together. These two, these same two, have been coming here ever since I was a boy, the old man says.
Okay.
He watches them fly away until their bodies are dots vanishing into the low sun. Always the same pair. Wonder what keeps them coming back to this town. He shrugs. It must be home.
So we're picking up bits and pieces of stories, I guess, and we're gonna need to like probably use them, string them together to tell a story later, like we did with Wolf, right? Choosing bits and pieces, and in that way, the game is didactic early on. I'm gonna see if it pays out. It's cool that these are just like little short stories.
The woman walks the small town square with the poise of Betty Davis. The confident
Oh, so here's the
stride,
three. Look, it's the travel
inimitable
card
mannerisms
that we drew.
elevating the sidewalk into a plush, Hollywood carpet. And wrapped around her neck, a yellow velvet ribbon, bright as an ocean sunrise.
Curious.
You question a well-dressed man parked outside an oyster house. Prudish woman. I took her on a fine date and she didn't remove so much as a ribbon. Excuse me, can you step back from the coupe? That's the spirit. You decide to seek a second opinion.
Wow. What a dick.
You talk with a waitress smoking outside a diner. Something funny about her. Just showed up one day. Doesn't work, doesn't live anywhere far as I know. Just around. Myself, I'd love to know who made all her beautiful clothes.
Well, let's ask her. Whoa. Look at the logo. It changes. So we can stay with the Three of Staves, or we get this. I gotta do it. Like, I'm too tempted. I want to know why the icon changes to scary face.
You ask the woman if you may join her at a public bench. You may. Lovely outside, isn't it? Her eyes are a beautiful shade of brown. Beneath the yellow ribbon, a thick, fibrous scar wraps around her throat. Weather like this, it reminds me of Paris.
Uh-huh. You're like a ghost, maybe? Or, okay. The elegant woman in the small town. Small town of Portland, Maine. There's Boston up there.
You can see storm clouds on the horizon, and you don't relish the thought of being caught wandering this rocky seaside road in the rain. Fortunately, you find the lighthouse door open, with a daunting staircase before you.
Now, I feel like she probably doesn't represent the Hanged Man, because the Hanged Man, if you remember, the Hanged Man is hung by his ankle, not by his neck. So she's something else, I think. All right, the lighthouse door is open. Let's go see what's in
At
there.
the top of an ornate wrought iron spiral, you're breathless and feeling the strain on your knees. Rain already batters the walls outside. You can only knock on a heavy wooden door leading into the upper level. Muffled voices and light seep in beneath the door. Looks like we got a visitor. Sounds like a man's voice, deep and rough. Well, behave yourself. I'll open the door. Another man, this one with a higher, more sonorous voice. I always behave myself. He feigns indignation, but his tone betrays affection instead.
I think we found the gay lighthouse.
After a moment, the door unlatches from the inside and opens. The man before you is tall and muscular, with a hint of a paunch beneath his wide chest. The heavy iron knob on the door looks nearly dainty in his huge hand. Didn't want to be out in this rain, did you? Come in.
Thanks, Riley.
Despite the rough exterior, this room looks like a well-appointed parlor. There's a rug on the well-trod wooden floor and an enormously plush couch. And sat upon it is a stocky fellow grinning through a great hazel-colored beard. Tea? He offers, hoisting a teapot.
Been here long? That's the sun. That's a creepy-looking sun. Or, must be lonely up here. Hopefully, if I say, I'm going to go with it must be lonely up here, because hopefully they'll tell me a story about themselves.
Oh, we manage. The tall one sits on the sofa, casually wrapping an arm around the other lighthouse keeper. The quiet suits us just fine. He needs his quiet time. He's a writer. The tall one grunts. I dabble, but you must have some good stories from the road.
Oh, that's so good. So often when people make games that are like, it's set in a time before now, they just erase, like, gay folks, for example. Gays have been around forever, and some of them live in lighthouses. Well, I have some.
You wake up the next morning on their old sofa, still warm from an excess of tea. And cakes? There might have been little cakes. Prodigious snoring rumbles in from the floor above you, and you quietly take your leave.
Aw, that's great. The two lighthouse keepers, that's so good. The border to New Hampshire. Hold Q to hitchhike. Oh, so you can hitchhike along roads. Interesting. It's a bit of a shame that the game had to like tooltip that for me. Like it's very not good at teaching me what I need to do, which I guess is intentional, but that felt a bit jarring. Also, yeah, don't pick up a skeleton. Don't pick up a hitchhiking skeleton. To Boston, I guess. But let's check out the outskirts first. Let's go over here to this little farm.
A dusty truck and a man on horseback pull up next to one another in front of the grocer. Suddenly, the driver and the rider, two wiry old men with identical haircuts, start shrieking at one another.
Okay, the son, two old men shrieking at one another. It's Ramus and a clone of Ramus.
The man with the truck leaps into the street.
Brother!
He shouts. The one on the horse tumbles out of his saddle.
Brother!
He screams. They embrace in the road.
30 years!
Hollers the driver. The rider, tears streaming down over his face, corrects him.
No, 32!
Oh, wow.
Everyone here is watching these two older men cry and hug one another in the middle of Main Street. Cars and wagons are backing up. People are yelling.
Take a photo of us!
The driver begs you. Starts hauling a tripod out of the bed of his truck.
Let's get out of the road first. Hi, Quantum.
As you usher them onto the sidewalk, the driver says,
Joe, I thought you were dead.
The rider freezes.
Joe?
He blurts.
I'm not Joe.
The two men stare at one another, each slowly recognizing something alien in their mistaken brother's face.
That's a good story. Oh, shit. Okay, let's go collect this other store over here. Then we'll go into Boston, and then this looks like a checkpoint or something.
Well, I'm gonna heft my spade up upon my weary back.
The man is the color of mill dust. His smile creases his face like folds in dough. He gestures you inside the dilapidated structure and shouts
We're getting a lot
over
of
the
these
sound
creepy
of driving wheels.
Smiley faces.
You're welcome to sleep here. You don't want to rest by the river. Not in the evening. Insects.
Yeah, I don't have a choice. I'm gonna settle inside for a break.
Man shoves the broken door closed behind you. The mill is warm, and the air is heavy with the powder kicked up by your entrance. You realize how easy it would be to drift off on this pile of sacks to the loud but constant sound of the grinding wheel.
I don't trust this guy. I'm gonna fight the drowsiness.
Consciousness is elusive. Your limbs throb with a dull fatigue, and your eyes are sticky with dust. The man suddenly grips your legs and drags you toward the millstone.
You do not love my daughter.
You will not have her. I will not let you hurt her.
Nope.
His voice is pained, not angry.
But
Your hand catches a flour sack printed with brightly colored flowers. A puff of flour makes you sneeze, and you wake. The mill is quiet. Its works long disconnected. In your hand is the faded remnant of what might once have been a bag. Or a piece of a dress.
damn. The creepy mill. Yep, that's about right. We're learning all kinds of weird things about this strange country. Let's see what Boston has. Oh, look, it's things to do. Red brick, green trees, blue sky. In this weather, Boston is beautiful. That is, till you make your way deeper into the city and get lost among the cramped, winding shadow-haunted old streets. Let's explore?
This city is like no other you've been to. Crooked streets splay out in a maze of narrow passages, no two alike. Soon, you find yourself in twilight, utterly lost. Bright light crests around one corner, a car approaching.
Wow, taxi cab drivers always have the best stories.
Compelled by the cold and foreboding night, you don't question it as you drag your bones into the cab. But you realize immediately how strange the vehicle is. It's a sleek thing, like a shallow parabola gliding over the street. Where to? He asks. You have to stop and think. Eventually, you name Boston Common, the only landmark you know in this town. He peels off silently. You feel the car move before you hear the engine.
All right. So let's look out the window.
He takes you through ever odder streets, flanked by painfully clean, gleaming buildings and signage for businesses you don't recognize. Even the air seems different. It doesn't smell so sharply of gasoline and coal. Eventually, you come to a stop.
Where's this guy taking us?
The fare's in glowing numbers above his dashboard. It's much too high. Surely a mistake. No charge, he insists. You look like you need a break. And then you find yourself on the curb at Boston Common, under thick moonlight, in a city much as you'd left it before.
Let's just mosey on. Earn money, train station, or store? Well, let's earn money first. You wander the streets of the city looking for a way to make some cash. Let's look for work. Doors close in your face one by one like giant dominoes. Boom, boom, boom. Bad luck today, or is it something else? Let's change our outfits. You don't have much to change your outfit with, but you rearrange your various letters and tip your hat at a spunky angle. In the next place, boom. Yikes, that one was even more emphatic than the others. Okay, so we didn't earn any money. And I can buy things if I had the money, like a hot apple cider or a Boston clam chowder, some fried chicken or a sandwich, but I don't have any money. So I feel like I'm playing the game now. Like there's a game being played here that I never got the rules for. So let's just go to the train station. Oh, and we can get a trip to New York or Detroit. But again, I don't have any money. So let's leave Boston. Okay, so the cities give us the more like gamey part. I guess we want to go here. Let's go see what this camp is about.
Hey there, stranger. You're welcome to enjoy this fire with me, if you're respectful, that is.
Oh, this kid's living the hobo life, stabbing people with his hobo knife.
This here is my spot, and I ain't inclined to share it with any bad characters. You can call me Quinn. These here are my venturing companions. Cass is the big un, and the one with the spots is Flip. I usually beat my way on the rails, but the road news said this town was fat, and the weather was fine. So I'm taking in the sights and seeing what I can drum up. Hey, tell me a funny story. You seem like you still got a sense of humor.
All right, here's the story I've collected. They're organized by subject because the boss likes tarot cards, so we need a funny story. This is the subject of each story here. You can tell the person a story about love, and they'll tell you something from their own life related to subject of love. Poor things. As the night goes on, the icon moves from left to right. When it reaches the right side, the night's over and so is your storytelling. The person you're talking to will tell you where they'll be next so you can find them again. If you tell them the types of stories they request, you'll gain their trust and the eye will open. When it opens fully, next time you meet them, they'll open up more about their life. Remember this from conversation to conversation. Don't feel you need to open the eye all the way the first time you meet someone. Dance around. Get to know them. Stories about the past, stories about authority. Oh, so there's some new cards. Look at that Emperor. That's awesome. Right, I see. So these are the stories we're collecting, and the type of story is indicated by these cards. There's the Sun, stories about the past and memory. Stories about the future from the High Priestess. Stories about family from the Queen of Cups. Stories about love. And stories about sadness. Ah, there it is, the Nine of Swords. All right, I wonder, this kid wants a funny story. Now, I don't know if I know any funny stories. I guess it's funny those guys got mixed up. Yeah, I don't know if we know any funny ones. I think we'll tell them the Sun story. Two men who mistook the other for their missing brothers. It's a comedy of errors.
I remember that one. A couple good jokes can get you out of a
Hey, it
fix
worked.
sometimes.
Nice.
Well, I don't know a whole lot about the past, but they say there's an Injun grave around these parts. Say it's haunted and full up with angry spirits. I used to love hearing stories of cowboys and Injuns fighting it up. Would swap tales with the youngins. But, well, I suppose if someone shot me, I'd be pretty vengeful too. Hey, tell me one of those exciting stories.
All right, an exciting story. What stories do I have? I have a story about a weird taxi. I have a story about, oh, the bootleggers. Yeah, that's exciting, right? That's an exciting story. I'm gonna tell that one.
Well, that was something. You spin a good yarn.
Yeah.
Authority, bosses and such.
So the questions that we ask of the story itself tell us, they inform the story.
I ain't nobody's little Angelina, if that's what you're asking. I take care of myself and my dogs. I don't need no jocker looking out for me, so if you're offering, don't. Shoot, I thought I told you to be respectful. You want to keep enjoying my spot or not? Think about that.
Well, all right, Knifey.
I want to hear one of them venturing tales. Got any?
Do I have any adventuring tales? I got a story about a creepy mill. I got a story about a ghost. I got a story about some gay dudes. And I got a story about an odd taxi cab. Hey, Alpha, welcome back. Let's teach this kid about an oddly silent taxi cab.
Whoa, quite a story, stranger.
You like my stories, kid?
What's my future look like? I ain't looking for a traveling companion, if that's what you mean. I do fine by myself, so just stick to minding your own. Hey, do you got any really thrilling stories to tell?
Oh, yes,
I'm
I
hankering
do.
for one of those.
How about a story about a boy who ran away with his father in Maine? Because wow, I have a lot of family stories. Let's see, run away with your dad, or a ghost? Maybe the ghost one? Yeah, that seems like a scary story, but maybe let's try that one. I don't know, the runaway dad or the elegant woman. I feel like this kid wants a story because these are sad stories, right? It's a ghost story, but it's not a scary ghost story. It's like a aw, sad boohoo story. And this one's like creepy, but like a kid running away with his dad. I'm gonna tell the creepy middle. Let's go with that one.
Were you trying to scare me? Well, you didn't go far enough.
Ah, see? Yeah.
My family. There ain't no way I'm gonna start jaw flapping about those bastards. Judases, the lot of them. Enough said.
That's such a great word for someone. Call somebody a Judas.
I'm in the mood for something real funny like.
I don't think I have any funny stories, dude. I think we're. You want to hear something funny about a sad ghost? Or do you want to hear a funny story about a couple of gay guys that live in a lighthouse? I'm going to tell the story about the ghost, because I don't have a choice to not tell a story, so. I mean, I guess technically these guys, I'll learn something about love from this character either way, so.
What's the use in telling sweet happy tales if in they make you snooze? Love stories. Huh. Folks sure seem to be eat up with the notions of love, singing and talking about it all the damn time.
Yeah, kid.
Not sure I see the appeal myself. Oh, heck, the night's over already. I sure enjoyed talking to you, but I gotta get on. Think I'll see what's happening up the road this way.
So you're headed to New York. Okay.
The tramping life suits me just fine. Every day is a venture.
Hey, Dorian.
With things being so depressed, folks walk around like it's the end of everything good. But it ain't. Plenty nice things to see if you know where to look.